Thank you for joining me live from the grooming table. I am Amy Lee, certified professional pet groomer, and it is absolutely my pleasure to share the secrets of the pet grooming industry with you guys. And I haven't done this for a while. Let me get my mic ready. Mic check, mic check. I am going to say hello to you guys. I haven't done this in years. Ashley Hoots, hello, good to see you. BLK Pearl, great to have you here. Janelle Lawrence, great to have you here. Court Jester, Ryder, good to see you. Lucy, nice to have you here. Shirley and Diane, oh, I love you guys so much. Charlotte, Debbie M, oh man, Nancy and SVCC Toys, Schnauzers, Sean and Jim, welcome to the show. Guys, it's great to see you. We have good stuff coming for you tonight. Is my mic working? We're going to need this later. I might have to show you something. All right, let's dive into this. We're going to give you a good reason to be here tonight, okay? It's always a good Monday when we're together, and I want to thank you all for being here. It is great, the community that we have built together, helping pets and pet owners and groomers and other professionals come together and just make a huge impact on pets' lives everywhere. So we're doing wonderful things. Tonight's topic is, this is a guide to give your dog a summer haircut. Remember I told you we were going to be talking all things summer haircut? Well, it's a great topic to touch on because right now it's summertime. I live on the East Coast and we're reaching temperatures at times 100 or above. And the humidity here is very high too. So keep that in mind. On the East Coast, it's extremely hot. But so summer cuts, there's a lot of controversy around that. You know, what's safe? Hello, Opal. I see you all jumping in the chat there. Great to see you. Oh, this is awesome. So this video today, guys, in this video, you're going to learn what clipper blades, this is a clipper blade, what clipper blades are safe to choose for a short haircut, what dog breeds cannot have their hair clipped short, what dog breeds can't have their hair clipped at all. We're going to find that out and why. So we're not just going to let you have the information. I'm going to tell you why. It's very important to understand the whys, and that's what we like to do. We go deep. We take deep dives here. So I have also created 2 detailed guides that will, this is cool, they're free for you tonight, guys. I created 2 detailed guides that will give you, you'll be able to download them for free. You'll be able to print them out and you can take it to your pet groomer and get the haircut that you want for your pet. Let me just give you a glimpse of what these guides are. So there's 2 of them tonight, guys. One of them is for dogs. The one on the left is for dogs that will get haircuts, okay? So you can have a short trim, you can have a medium trim, or a long trim. And I'm gonna go over this in detail with you guys, how to utilize it, okay? Then the second guide is more for, definitely for double-coated breeds or dogs that do not get a haircut. I want to be very specific about that. The green on the right, that really is a guide for you to guide you or to guide your groomer, you know, in the direction of what you're wanting for your dog. So in other words, I hear a lot of people tell me sometimes, I took my Sheltie to the groomer and I just dropped the dog off and, you know, figured they know what to do. And I came back and my Sheltie was clipped. And I never wanted my Sheltie clipped. And I know that that's not good for my dog's coat. But the groomer thought that's what I wanted. So what I want to do with these guides is to take that confusion away from people and their groomers and just kind of build a little bit better communication lines between the 2 of you, so that the dog truly benefits the most from the haircut and that everybody's speaking the same lingo. You know, I think that's really important, and it's hard. Dog grooming language, it took me years to learn it, guys. It's like learning a foreign language. I'm kidding, it's not hard. But what I'm saying is it can feel like a foreign language sometimes, you know, when your groomer mentions a tool or a method to you and you're like, that sounds right, I guess. I don't know what that means. You know, I trust you. So there's that. Now, tonight I'm also going to show you how to use those guides, okay? We're going to dive into them in a minute. I'm going to pull them up on screen one by one, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can use it. You can also use this downloadable guide, and they're linked in the description below, guys. You can also use these guides to map out the perfect haircut for you to give to your dog groomer, or for you at home to set out a path of how you're going to approach this groom with your dog, to pre-plan for your groom. I want the body sort of short, I want the legs a little bit longer, and I'd like the legs the same length. So you can map it out, you can print it out as many times as you want, so that the next time you trim your dog, you can go back to it and put the date on it. Every time you use this and you make your choices, put the date on it and write some notes afterwards how you felt about that trim. Nah, I thought the 5 was too short on the body, or I felt the 5 wasn't short enough. That means you can go to a 7. So this is going to be kind of something you can refer to and help you perfect your grooms along the way if you are grooming your own dog at home, and I know a lot of you do. So this is just something nice to have and refer back to, and the next time, it may be November when you trim your dog, or whenever it's scheduled. We know we trim them about every 6 weeks, guys, so we don't ever want to let them get matted. But then you can look back to what you did in September or October and say, all right, it's getting colder now, and I would really like to leave a little more length on my dog. Let me choose different lengths here according to this guide and see how that works for my dog. And you'll note it, you'll sign it, date it like a real legit document, and put your notes on there and say how you felt about the groom after you performed it. So it'll help you perfect your grooms with your own dog. And then so next summer rolls around and you go, oh, I don't remember what I used on the body when I groomed Fluffy, and I don't remember what I used on the legs. Well, when you have your little notes here, you will remember. And you also will be making your own notes to say how you felt about the trim. Okay? I think it's going to be great. So, definitely you can use these if you're a home groomer, especially if you're a home groomer. I think you're going to love them, or you can take them to your groomer. If you are grooming your dog at home, of course, I know all of you do take all of the advice from my channel, as well as other professional groomers on YouTube and in person and on our private Facebook group. You guys have learned a lot of cool things. We have a lot of professional groomers in there that help people make the right decisions when it comes to tools, methods, how to use tools, what techniques to handle a coat. They're very helpful. But if you are seeking the information to groom your dog, that you shouldn't be grooming him until you have the info and you have the right approach. You should never attempt to give a dog a haircut before you've learned safe and proper dog grooming methods. Very important. Or definitely don't give them a haircut without understanding what tools you'll need for the job and how to use them. So if you really, really need a lot of help with that, I got you covered too. I do have a dog grooming course that is for the very beginner, and it's linked in the description. And that course is for the very beginner who knows not much of anything about grooming, that really needs to know all of the things in detail. So if you're seeking that knowledge that you need to successfully give your dog a haircut at home, that is linked for you too, guys. And there have been a lot of people that have taken that course and a lot of positive feedback and how it helped them and how it got them on the right track with everything, not just what blades to use. Of course, that's in there. How to use your scissors, how to brush your dog, how to bathe your dog, how to clean your dog's ears, how to trim the nails, how to safely give a nice generic haircut to a dog if you are a home groomer. So that's there. So let's get back to topic, summer haircuts. I love summertime. Summer cuts are often given to dogs that live in warmer or humid climates. Some people live in warm and humid climates year round, you know, depending on where you are. So a summer cut may be something that you often like to keep your dog in, just to keep them comfortable and clean and protected yet. So there's a level of how short we can go without compromising the dog's safety, because the skin is the largest organ in their body and their fur protects their skin. That is the job of a dog's fur, definitely. So it's important to know, though, guys, that not all dogs have a coat type that is safe to trim, okay? So the fact that certain dog breeds, this is a fact, certain dog breeds cannot have a short haircut, period. They just can't, because it could damage the fur permanently, or, you know, which could result in problems that could follow them through their life, and that's not what you want. So how do you know if your dog can have a summer cut without harm, and what are those lengths that is safe? So I have some images to throw on screen for you guys. This is the first thing we need to know. The first thing we need to know is what coat type your dog has. There are technically really only 3 coat types, and your dog falls into one of those categories. Let me see here if I got another picture of that. Oh, this is okay. We're going to need that. Dogs' coat types are short, medium, and long. Those are the 3 coat types. Now, I created a fantastic video for you, and that's what the other picture was. That's what I want to show you. See that thumbnail? It says short, long, and medium. I created this video a little while ago explaining the 3 dog coat types, and it is linked in the description below so that you can learn what coat type your dog has and if it can be clipped. So that's really important. Something else that I linked for you in the description below, this is super cool. So this is a link that I gathered when I was taking my pet esthetician course. This was very helpful to me, this link, and it is through Yves Saint Bernard, this link. And what it is now it's linked in the description for you as well. There are a lot of things linked for you guys today, okay? So take your time when you're scrolling through those links. I tried to identify everything properly so it wouldn't be confusing as far as what link you were looking for. But so you will find a link to a website that's in the description of this video that will help you identify your dog's coat type. So please visit those links and enjoy learning essential facts about your dog's coat and determine if a short haircut is safe. Is it a safe option for my dog? Okay, so these links are going to all help you with that. Take that off and come back to me. Good to see you. Now let's talk about what blade lengths and comb attachments are the right choice for a dog for a summer cut. I got another image. I got lots of images. I got all these notes. Throw this image up. Okay, this is a 7-blade. This is a 7-blade, guys. The blade length should never be shorter than a 7-blade on the body or the legs for a summer cut to ensure the dog's skin will still remain protected with a layer of fur from the sun, allergens, bugs, etc. So a 7-blade, see it says 7F? There are many manufacturers of blades that will work. They're universal on detachable blade clippers. There's Andis, there's Wall, Oster, Joy Z. There's a lot of off-brands too, guys. Artero makes, that's not an off-brand, but Artero makes blades. Buttercut makes blades. Guide. There's so many. But if they say 7, 7F, 7FC. FC means finish cut. The only blade you ever want to avoid is a skip tooth blade, and they will say they're skip tooth. Sometimes your blades will be only identified as 7. There will be no F after it. But as long as it's not a 7 skip tooth, sometimes a finished blade like this will be labeled just 7, okay? Now, skip tooth blades, every other tooth is missing. It is very easy to nick the skin with a skip tooth blade. So we don't ever use them. I feel like I don't even think that they're, I don't think they should be out there. I really don't. I don't like them. I know they leave texture in the coat. I've tried to use them on matted dogs. I don't like skip tooth blades. I've never found that I would choose a skip tooth blade over a finished cut blade or a finished blade. So your 7 blade is your shortest summer length, okay? If you're confused about clippers and clipper blades, I have 2 videos on my channel with a lot of views on them. The one is clipper blades, dog grooming clipper blades. The other one is dog grooming guard comb attachments. Those 2 videos go into heavy duty detail about blades and attachment combs if you're confused with either of those, okay? I pretty much should have a video on my channel for most all tools that you would be wanting to use or that you should use. So sometimes you just got to go looking for them, but the videos are there for you. So now we know summer cuts, we never go shorter than a 7 blade, right? Well, let me show you something else. That's a little Yorkie. That's Misty. She was in my course. No, I want to show you something before that. Give me a second. Yeah, I already showed you the 7 blade. Okay, so not all dog breeds, such as this little Yorkie, guys. Not all dog breeds can be trimmed with a 7 blade. They can be, but it's really risky. The reason is because they have a very thin coat, meaning they don't have dense fur. They don't have a dense coat. It's not heavy. They don't have a lot of fur, okay? It's thin, like somebody who has thin hair versus somebody who has thick hair. Somebody who has thick hair, a dog that has thick hair, there is no problem using a 7 blade. They still are going to have enough of a little protective layer to protect their skin, and that's what's important. But dogs like Yorkies, Maltese, they have very thin coats, and especially a Maltese, they have very fair skin, so we really need to protect it. So that's when guard combs are the better choice in order to leave just a little longer length of coat to protect a dog's skin from the elements. Now, I have trimmed Yorkies that were kind of in pretty bad shape, meaning their coat was not nice. It would have been too hard to brush out completely. And a guard comb wouldn't go through it. This is a guard comb, guys. They snap onto a 10 blade. They do not have a cutting edge like a blade does. Okay, they're very different, but they're very handy. So sometimes I can't use guard combs to get through a Yorkie like little Misty here because her coat may have just been in bad shape. You know, it's so matted, it was not brushed, washed in 8 weeks, and you can imagine the condition her coat would be in. So in those times, I would try a 5 blade because I know I can get through it unless the mats are terrible, but then we have dematting methods, safety matting methods that we would go to if that's the case. But you can trim a Yorkie with a 5 blade as a summer cut. I prefer to start with like a 1/4 inch guard comb. That's what I would do. That would be this one, the purple one. I prefer that on a Yorkie to leave at least that much length on our Yorkies because their hair is thin, which means there's not a lot of it to protect the skin. But if you had to go short because of various reasons, I wouldn't want to do a 7 blade. I would prefer a 5 blade. Now I know that there's probably people that are confused what's the difference between a 5 and a 7. Guys, you'll have to go watch my clipper blade video that goes in complete detail over clipper blades. Because most everybody here knows what the difference is between a 5 and a 7. In fact, let's play a little game. Guys, which blade is shorter, a shorter cut? A 5 blade or a 7 blade? Type it in the chat. Ready, set, go. I want to see how much you guys know. I don't want you getting bored in the chat. Let's see, 5 or 7, which one's shorter? Which one leaves a shorter amount of coat? There's a delay. There's a delay on the live stream. But I'm going to wait a second because I love to hear from you guys that you're learning. Yes, Sherry, absolutely. Nope. 5 blade is longer, Sherry, but BLK Pearl 7 blade is shorter. Yes. Yes. Ashley, yes. Janelle, Sean, Debbie, Organic Gal, Jennifer, yes, you guys know. You've watched my video, plus you know. You know. Brenda, Pat, Amanda, yes, yes, yes. Charlotte, Jeffrey, Marilyn, you're absolutely right. A 7 blade, and Sherry, we still love you. Don't worry, don't be upset, no frowny faces. A 7 blade is shorter than a 5 blade. The higher the number is, so 7 is a higher number than 5, right? It's a larger number than 5. The higher the number is, the shorter the clip will be. That means it's closer to the skin. So yes, good job, guys. No problem. So it's fun. Hey, who knows? We may play some more games here tonight. I kind of enjoyed that. And I think maybe you guys did too. It's nice to hear you guys know these things. It's really nice. I always assume that you do. But it's really nice to hear that you guys do know these things. So we know not all dog breeds can be trimmed with a 7 blade, like our little Maltese, our Yorkies. Anything with a thin coat, I prefer at least a 5. It's a little bit longer, but I really prefer like a 1/4 inch guard comb. That's ultimate for me for a summer trim. That's perfect for a Yorkie, and it's short on a Yorkie. Their coat lays real flat. So don't forget, when we trim with a 1/4 inch on a poodle's coat stands straight up. So we trim a 1/4 inch, we see a 1/4 inch of hair. When we trim a 1/4 inch on a Yorkie, their hair lays down flat because it's not heavy. It's not a heavy coat. So it looks even shorter because it lays flat. So when you trim a poodle with a 1/4 inch and then you go to a Yorkie with a 1/4 inch guard comb, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, the Yorkie looks so short. That's because of the coat type. It lays flat. You know, it's like a drop coat. It lays down. It's not going to stand up firm like a poodle coat or a doodle coat. So now I want to talk about something. These guys are beautiful double-coated dogs. I'm going to just throw this out there, remind you guys, I know you get tired of hearing me say it. Double-coated dogs such as golden retrievers, collies, shelties, oh, I can go on and on. Double coat, Saint Bernard, even a lab. Okay, we know labs don't get haircuts. Well, neither should golden retrievers. They get scissor trimming and a little clipper work around pads of the feet, a little bit of shape-in work with a blending shear is fine, but we don't want to cut any shorter than the undercoat is. The undercoat, there's 2 coat types, or the double coats have 2 coats. They have a double coat for a reason, because the undercoat protects the skin, the top coat protects the undercoat. So if we trim a golden retriever, that undercoat will then grow in faster than the top coat. So it will grow out faster because a top coat, let me see if I can explain this. A top coat, double-coated dogs, the undercoat protects the skin. It's that soft, woolly, and it's very dense, a lot of it. The top coat is not as dense as the undercoat, so it's not as thick. But what it does is it protects the undercoat, keeps it clean, so that the undercoat can protect the skin. So when we clip a double-coated dog, that undercoat, now undercoat grows faster than top coat. The undercoat will grow faster than the top coat, so it is now disturbing the ratio of undercoat to top coat, and it has also disturbed the top coat being longer in length than the undercoat, and that may never reverse for a dog, guys. And I want you to know it may, Bob, how you doing? I haven't seen you in here in a while. Good to see you. And Sativa, nice to see you. So you can't disturb that undercoat to top coat because you may never ever get it back. Say a Pomeranian, a lot of people end up clipping Pomeranians, and then you have to keep clipping them like every 4 or 6 weeks, or they really grow out horribly. It's the undercoat that grows in even thicker, and it can't do its job. So that's where that second guide that I'm going to give you guys today, that's linked in the description here, that's where that is for double coats. The one that's green in color, that's for double coats. What can we do on a dog that it's really for dogs who do not get haircuts, like your pugs or your bulldogs? That would be considered the short hair. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I don't want to confuse you. The two guides are as far as what type of grooming we should be doing on either a dog that gets a haircut or a dog that doesn't get a haircut. So the way to cool down a double-coated dog in the summer is simply to properly handle the undercoat. So when I work with double coats, or if I have a double-coated breed myself, it's my dog, the best thing to do is to, just as I did in my golden retriever video, those exact steps, those exact same methods, and how to properly de-shed a dog. You don't really need tools. You need a brush and a comb, conditioner, a dryer. That will keep the shedding down. But what you're doing is you're cleaning the undercoat. It's like a filter, so that it can do its job, which is to protect the skin. And then the top coat is still there because we didn't cut it. It's still there so it can protect the undercoat, so the undercoat can do its job, which is to protect the skin. So you can certainly cool off a double coat just by keeping them on a strict 4-week schedule of bathing, conditioning, brushing, drying, and safety shedding methods every 4 weeks. And I have a video on my channel. It's not too old. It's called Don't Use These Tools to De-Shed Your Dog, or De-Shed Your Dog, and then it's telling you all that you need to do and how to do it. That video is very, very helpful. So if you do have a double-coated dog, you don't need a summer trim. You don't need to clip it. You just need to maintain the undercoat and let it aerate by being cleaned. Because think of it like this. When you take your car in to have an oil change, we always change the filter, right? Because the filter starts to get gummed up from the old oil and the stuff that the filter is filtering away from the engine, right? So it doesn't get in our engine. But we still have to change that filter, or the filter can't do its job, which is filtering the oil for the engine so it can run optimally. Don't forget, think of undercoat. Top coat, undercoat. Undercoat is the filter. And if we don't clean it, it gets really clogged up. Well, then it can definitely harbor things against the skin, like allergens, that are not going to be good for your dog. So keeping a clean filter, a clean undercoat, every 4 to 6 weeks, your dog's skin will be so healthy and protected. It's really important. So, all right, now we're off of double coats. You know, clipping a double coat definitely can cause the undercoat to grow faster. That's what I want you to take away from this when we talk about double coats. It can grow in thicker and it won't be able to do its job. So, sometimes a 7-blade is too short. Now we're talking clipping. Sometimes a 7-blade is too short for your dog's coat type, and that's when you're definitely going to turn to your good friends, guard combs. And I think I have a picture of them. Nope, that's me getting all excited about my de-shed. These are guard combs. So the purpose of the guard comb is to leave length that the blades can't leave. Guard comb attachments are great for maintaining a longer length of fur that a clipper blade just cannot offer. So it's like the clipper blades are more for the shorter clips. That's what I use them for. I only use 4, 5, and 7 as far as blades go on the bodies of dogs. If it's not a 4, 5, or 7 and I need more length, I go for a guard comb every single time. They're useful for setting a longer length of coat without going too short. They are not even capable of close trims, and they're definitely not capable to trim a matted dog or a shave down a dog that's matted. They can't do it. So let me just demonstrate a few things for you guys here. I know that sometimes there's confusion. So we talked about the 7 blade. This 7 blade, this is the shortest blade length I will ever do on a summer trim for a dog on the body and legs. 7 blade. Sometimes I just like to play it safe with a 5 blade or go ahead and go to my guard combs. But this is the safest blade. A 10 blade is too short to trim a dog, and a lot of people use this blade because it is the only blade that comes with a detachable blade clipper. Every detachable blade clipper comes with a 10 blade, and the reason they come with a 10 blade is because they're intending for you to use these. They're guard combs. Now you're really confused. You're like, well, 10 blade guard combs, how do I use them together? Well, that's the reason why you get your 10 blade. The other reason why all your detachable blade clippers, you see how I just took the blade off? That's what makes it a detachable blade clipper. Another reason why they come with 10 blades is because this is the safe blade to use in the private areas. Only a 10. Because that skin is very tender. It is very easy to nick. It's very easy to irritate because of a close clip. And anything shorter than a 10 blade, let's play a little game. Guys, what's the next shortest blade? Shortest blade to a 10 blade, type it in the chat. It gets confusing, but having to play these games might help you guys. So that is the reason. This is the safest blade for a sanitary area. So if you have guard combs that are for detachable blades, there are many different types of guard combs. There's some out there for adjustable blade clippers. They will not work. 5-in-1 clippers. They will not work on your detachable blade. They are a totally different type of guard comb. So this 10 blade is used for private sanitary paw pads, and it's also used under your guard combs. That's why they send you a 10 blade. So how do you use a 10 blade with a guard comb? You seat it on the clipper and you choose whichever length you like. They are always numbered, but they are also always identified by the length of cut. See, it says number 4, and then it says 1/4 inch. So if you're like, how much fur will a 4 blade leave? It'll leave 1/4 inch. It's on there. So who got the answer right? Yes, a 15 blade. Absolutely. Good job. You guys rock. Yes, a 15 blade. A 30 blade is shorter too, Charlotte. You're right. A 15 blade is shorter of a clip than a 10 blade. And it's too short for the private area. It can cause clipper burn. You know, if you shave too close and you get those little bumps, dogs can get that too, and then they just go and itch it until it's just raw. Because a dog is just going to itch. If something is itchy or uncomfortable, dog, they're just going to rub it until they get it all mad. That's what they do. So how do you get it? How do you use these? Because these do not have a cutting area on them at all. There's these little tabs on the back. See them? They simply just sit right here on the back of your blade. See that? See how they're sitting there? Right there on the back of your blade. You press forward. Let me show you that. Gosh. Press forward, and then they hook on right here in front of the blade. Now the blade, the 10 blade, just became the cutting action for guard combs. Okay? Guard combs do not cut on their own without a blade under it. The only blades that you can use under guard combs that will work are a 10, 15, and a 30. But your clipper comes with a 10 blade, and that's what they intend for you to use with it. Now, some people prefer 30 blade. You do not have to use a 30 blade. And the only reason I don't is because when I take my guard comb off, after I've trimmed the body and the legs, I have a 10 blade on already, so now I'm safe to use it for sanitary after I'm certain my blade is not heated up on me. If it has, I take this 10 blade off and get a cool blade that I was not just using, 10 blade, and put it on my clipper. And now I have a cool blade. Be careful about your blades. They will heat up because it's metal on metal. It's friction and we can't avoid it. It is the way it is. All right, guys, if you have questions, hold the dash bar and put a line in front of it, because after I'm done giving my little talk, I'm going to go in there and jump in there and see if I can answer some of your questions, okay? So you'll hold the dash line and put your question. Type it in after that. Then I'll see that there's a question. That seems to be the easiest way that we handle it around here, and it works out pretty good. So now, guys, it's time for us to go ahead and take a look at those clipping guides that I created for you that are linked in the description below, and they're free. Download it. They're very helpful. And how you can use them to take to your groomer in order to help you choose the right summer trim for your dog, or if you trim your dog yourself, how would you utilize this guide to help you? Well, let's start with this one. This one is for dogs that do get a haircut. So a dog that will be clipped. This is the guide that you want to use. So you'll see 3 categories: short, medium, and long. Those are not coat types. Those are short trim, medium trim, long trim. And it says that, medium trim, long trim. Okay, so under short trim, so if I'm looking for a short trim, that's a summer trim. The only blades on there are the safe blades that you could use, so you can't go wrong. So you say, well, okay, I want a short trim. I want it the shortest on the body. The shortest I can go is a 7 blade, and it even says there, shortest width, shortest length is a 7 blade. Say maybe I want to go a little longer than that, then I would choose the 5 blade. And it's not much of a difference between a 7 and a 5, but it is a little bit, and sometimes it does matter. Depends on how thin the dog's coat is. You know, does it have thick hair or thin hair? Then that slight little bit of length is going to help. Or would I want to use a 4 blade? So what you can do is you can say, I have a Shih Tzu and he has a very thick coat. I'm going to do a 7 blade on the body. So you put a check mark there. If you're taking this to your groomer, after you fill this out, you can hand it to them and say something like this. This has the blade links and everything on it. They know exactly what that means. So it'll help you get what you want, as long as it's within reason for what your dog should have. And that's where your groomer will advise you. Oh my goodness, I'd never do a 7 blade on a Yorkie, and then follow their lead, okay? But at least this is gonna get you in the ballpark. So say we're still doing that little Shih Tzu. We're going to do a 7 blade on the body, and so that's taking them nice and cool, cooling it down. Then on the legs, see underneath that it says legs. Well, if you did a 7 blade, then that would be the same length, and that is a complete sort of little summer trim. If you did a 7 blade on the body, 7 blade on the legs, that's okay. You can do it, and it will grow back. It's a Shih Tzu. And you'll be cooling them down. Some Shih Tzus definitely suffer in the heat just because they already are a bronchial type breed to begin with. They have a little bit compromised breathing. So, or you could say, hi, I'd like to see a little bit of a difference there. How about I try a 5 blade on the legs, which is slightly longer than a 7, because I did a 7 on the body. Or you could do a 4 blade. So you can set this. Now this is a short haircut. Check the one you want for the body, which one you want for the legs, and then when it comes to the head, how are we going to trim the head? It's either a nice round head where it's just scissored, and you can use guard combs, longer lengths of, you know, you might go to like a 3/8 or higher, or a 1/2 inch guard comb to set the length on the head. But say this is for your groomer too. Then you only have to tell them, I want a round shape head, and they'll know what to do. Or say if it's a Schnauzer, you check breed standard. I want the head trimmed to the breed standards of a Schnauzer. They know what dog they're grooming. So by choosing that, you kind of set the pace for what type of head shape you want. If you're doing this for your own records at home because you groom your dog, then like I said, it's nice to know what you did and put notes on there. I used a 1/2 inch to set the length on the head and went with a round shaped scissored head. You put your notes on there so the next time you go to groom your dog, because you're not grooming 5 dogs a day, 7 dogs a day. You're grooming 1 dog every 6 weeks. Okay, so it takes more thinking and preparation when you go to give that dog a haircut. So put all the notes on there you want, and then after you complete the groom, put notes on this sheet, put the date, and say what you felt about it. I didn't like the head. Next time maybe I will do this instead of this. You know, maybe I'll try a little shorter. The head was moppy looking, so maybe I used a 5/8 guard comb. Maybe I want to go to a 1/2 inch next time, which is slightly shorter than 5/8. So these are great ways to keep notes of this. Now, in the same way, in the medium column, what that is now we're talking medium length. So if you wanted a medium length of a haircut, well, our choices aren't going to be a 7, 5, and a 4 blade anymore. It's short. So we're going to go with like a number 2 guard comb, a number 1 guard comb, or a number A guard comb on the body. So do you see how this works? Say you want that the same length down the body and the legs. If you did a number 2 guard comb on the body, then you would choose a number 2 guard comb for the legs and check both, so you remember what you did. Or you could say, I would like the legs a little bit longer, fuller in length than the body, so I'll try the number 1 guard comb, you know. So this is there to help you, and I do have the lengths of what they are actually on the chart, so that should help you. And then check which head style you want. Is it a Cocker Spaniel? Put breed standard head trim, you know, trimmed like a Cocker Spaniel. It's very specific. So then the log trim choices are for if you want much longer length on your dog. So then you can comprise a trim for the body, the legs, and the head style, and give it to your groomer and get them right in the ballpark of where you want them to be with the length of hair. Or if you're grooming your dog yourself, you get you in the ballpark for when you go to trim them the next time. So I just think they're very helpful, very helpful. Now let's take a look at the second chart. So all my double-coated pet owners out there, raise your hands. Raise your hand in the chat. Put your hand in the chat, or just say, I raised my hand. Double-coated dogs, golden retrievers, Shelties, Bernese Mountain Dogs. There's so many, but you get the gist of it. So this chart is for you. This is the one for dogs who do not get clipping, do not get haircuts. So what would you do if you had, now this is not, it says short, medium, and long. That doesn't mean haircut length. That means coat type. Do they have a long coat? Like a golden retriever can have quite a bit of long coat, to be honest. So I would consider that long. Medium coat is something more like a Brittany Spaniel, something with a lot of furnishings. That I would consider medium. Short is a dog like a pug or a bulldog that absolutely doesn't need any trimming whatsoever, and that clearly says so under the short coat. So it says what you do. Nail trimming is needed. No trimming is needed on the legs and the feet for this pet. So this way there's no confusion when you take your lab or your pug or whatever dog you want. Let's say you have a long-haired dachshund, but you do not want it trimmed. You would choose the medium coat. A long-haired dachshund is a beautiful dog. It needs a little bit of shaping, and it says so. Light thinning and blending shear with blending shears, shave the paw pads. So and then for the head and the ears, light thinning. It's hard for me to read this on screen. Light thinning with shears, vent the ears, which is the inside of the ears so that it can get airflow with a 10 blade. No clipping on the body. So if you want to be certain when you take your long-haired dachshund or a dog similar to that to the groomer and they do not trim the body and the legs of the dogs, you can check this stuff off and say, this is what I want. Then there's no confusion, because the guy who was in before you with a long-haired dachshund said, I want him trimmed. So you've got to understand why groomers assume why everybody that has these, this is what they want. Everybody that has a long-haired dachshund, this is what they want. So I'm just going with the flow here. I'm trying to please everybody, even though a lot of groomers would never trim a long-haired dachshund or a golden retriever, but some will because they're trying to please the client. So this is kind of a fail-proof thing to set you and your pet up for what you really truly want and be able to speak the language of your groomer. You know, it's very helpful. So that is how I would explain these two guides for you guys. Did I have anybody that recommended a double coat that gets clipped? CMM, yeah, there are some double coats that get clipped depending on the type of dog. I mean, coat types have gotten out of control with how people identify them. Some people will tell you there's 3 coat types. Some people will tell you there's 5. Some people will tell you 7. Some people will tell you there's 15. So I know it gets confusing. I know it does. Technically, a Schnauzer is a double coat. It's a medium coat as far as how I identify a coat type on a Schnauzer. But what that means is a Schnauzer single hair follicle shares about 16 hairs. Some of them are secondary hairs, which is considered undercoat. It's the softer, woollier coat. Some of those in the same follicle are top coat, which is primary hair. So yes, CMN's right. It really gets, you can really drill down in those coat types. But when I refer to double coat, I'm referring to a dog that the hair grows to a certain length and it stops. Same with like a lot of different spaniels are that way. Springer spaniels are that way too. Golden retrievers. Think of golden retriever's coat. A golden retriever's coat will grow so long and it stops growing. So that's what I'm referring to when I say dogs that don't get a haircut. And they typically are the dogs that have the flagging on the back of their legs, their front legs, and the hair doesn't just grow out evenly like a poodle would. So the front leg of a poodle, the hair just grows out evenly all the way around. On a golden retriever, only the flagging grows long. The rest doesn't. That's a true double coat. That's a true indication that your dog does not require a haircut. And if we give them one, it could affect the ratio of top coat to undercoat. And it also affects those two coats from being able to do their job. So that's the most important part for why we wouldn't trim a double coated dog, you know, definitely. So, okay, so we looked at the clipping guides. I'm going to answer your questions right now. That's where we're at. So let me just scroll in here and take a look. I know some of this gets pretty confusing. I know it does. All right, I'm just scrolling to get to the top. I don't see any more lines with questions. Janelle's reminding everybody to put it in there. Thank you, Janelle. It helps everybody. Sherry has a question. Okay. And I'm just making sure I get to the top. Give me a second. I'm going to try to get to them. I may answer them quickly, but I'll get you an answer. All right. So it looks like we start with Sherry. Says, can you further describe the grooming course? I have a video on my channel that goes into detail and shows you a clip from each grooming course. But all I will tell you at this point, without taking up everybody's time, Sherry, is it is for the very beginner. It is not a certification course. If you're looking to become a pet groomer, would it be a good course to take? For $200? Absolutely. It would prepare you to take a full-on certification course for dog grooming. But would you have to take it? No. And will it certify you to groom dogs professionally? No, it is not. You learn one haircut, only one. If you're going to be a breed standard certified dog groomer, you need to know several specific breed standard trims, and you learn those in grooming courses. And that's why they cost. You know, the grooming courses are $5,000 and up. You're paying for the knowledge, but you're also, it's a lot of work to learn all that stuff, but you'll learn it. So I do have a video on my channel that goes over my dog grooming course. It goes back about 2 years, but it should help you. And also, I believe if you go to my course, it's linked in the description, and click on it, there is an intro video that you should be able to watch. That is an introduction to what all you would learn in the course, which is really all the basics about the tools that are maybe they don't spend a lot of time on in other courses. I feel like there wasn't enough time spent on that, so I spent enough time to let you understand what tools you need and how to use them, how to hold them, and where to get them. So then in moving on, how to do a full haircut and take care of all the grooming needs of your dogs, nails, ears, bathing, drying, all that's in there. So Falcor says, any advice on a cordless clipper that's decent but less expensive than the Heininger? The Heininger is pretty pricey, yes. So less expensive than the Heininger but decent, and you want cordless. Well, if you only have one clipper and you're going to groom dogs, I always feel like it needs to be a detachable blade clipper, which is not an adjustable blade clipper. So right now, the KM cordless, I have it. It is a great clipper. Absolutely great clipper. This is the Raptor by Joyzy. Wonderful clipper. It is sold out until October, if I'm correct. And there is another clipper there, I think, that you might be interested in on Joyzy's site. But when you say cordless, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to tell you the Wall KM10, or the Wall KM, which is the version of KM10 but in cordless. Okay, that is a great cordless clipper. And I know some people have some of the Andis cordless, but I also see some bad reviews on battery malfunctions like the Pulse. They just, so I won't recommend them. I just don't, because I don't have one because of the reviews. I've had Andis clippers before, but never a cordless A5 style clipper. And I had my reasons for being disappointed with their corded clippers too. So I never went any further with Andis. I was done with them. They don't have longevity for me as a groomer, as you know, using it that often. So hopefully that helps you. The Wall KM would be what I would say, Falcora, definitely. And oh, let's see, Havanese double coat. Havanese is a medium coat. Havanese can get a haircut. Yes, you can give a Havanese a haircut. It's fully fine. You are not going to interrupt the undercoat to top coat ratio because they don't have that type of coat. They do have a little bit more cottony fur underneath and some longer top coat. Some of them are like that. Some of them are have a very thin coat. So, but Havanese, yes, Pat. Havanese can get a haircut, yes. And if it has a thick coat, then you could probably consider a 7 or a 5 if you wanted to, when we're talking summer trims. Or you could be safe with a nice 1/4 inch guard comb, and that's pretty short, but definitely not too short. So they definitely can get a haircut. Jane says, where to start and stop my Maltese top knot? Okay, your Maltese top knot in a tie-up or for trimming, I'm not sure, but either way, if I'm trimming the top or if I'm doing it in a tie-up. The back of the skull, you can feel the back of a dog's skull bone. That's where you stop the tie-up. that. And then I come from the corner of the eye to the corner of the eye, straight back to the ear. And this all becomes tie-up above the ear. So that's how I create a tie-up top knot for a Maltese. Or, yeah, multiple? Is it a Maltese? Maltese. Okay. So if I'm trimming that, so I'm going to trim it, say, with a 3/8 inch guard comb, and I want it to all be the same length. What do I consider top knot? From the corner of the eye back to the back of the skull, completely above the top of the head. That's all top knot. So hopefully that helps you, Jane. That's tricky. It's a tricky thing to determine, I know. Diane says, rats. I just bought the 5-blade. I'm not sure for what dog you're trimming, but it might be okay, Diane. A 5-blade is for a summer trim. It is a summer trim. I mean, it won't work with guard combs. The teeth are too long. A lot of people say, why can't I use a 7-blade? Well, there's a reason why your 10-blade came with your clipper. That's a 7-blade. Your 10-blade. There's a reason why a 10-blade comes with every detachable blade clipper, because this you can use with the guard combs and it's safe for sanitary trimming. So that's why. But no, you can't use guard combs over a 7-blade, 5-blade, 4-blade. A 40-blade is too small. It has nothing to clip onto. And the simple reason is it has to clip onto the blade. The teeth on your 7-blade are so much longer that this can't stretch out to fit it. That's the only reason that it can't work with these. And the teeth are spaced out further apart. It just wouldn't work with a guard comb. So, but if you were wondering, Diane, about a summer trim, depending on your dog's coat type, 5 is okay. 7 is as short as we go, guys. Remember that. When I trim a dog with a clipper blade, I always go with the lay of the coat. So that means coming down the back from the dog's back skull, I go with the lay of the coat, the way the coat falls. If you go against the grain, you can damage the hair follicles, and it's a shorter trim. It's even shorter. So if you used a 7-blade in reverse clipping direction against the grain of the coat, you are now clipping your 7 to about the length of a 10-blade, which is shorter, remember? So that's one of the things that happens when you clip in reverse. It is actually a shorter trim, and also it can damage the hair follicles because it is such a short, it's right there at the follicle, the skin. It can cause the skin to grow over the hair follicle, and then you have blocked pores. They get clogged, they get infected, they get pimply. So no reverse clipping, guys. You can reverse clip with guard combs because they do not affect, they're long enough to bypass the hair follicle that's at the skin surface. Sometimes people will go against the lay of the coat with a guard comb because it is definitely a smoother clip. Definitely, you'll have better results. But you just always want to be careful not to damage the hair follicle. That's the reason to go with the lay of the coat. And to be honest with you, when I do my guard comb work, I typically always go in the direction of the coat because that's how I follow the lay of the coat. That's how I get a smooth look. Jane says, where do I start and stop my multi? Okay, I got that one. Marie says, my cockapoo has several warts all over it. Okay, I mentioned that point. I mentioned and point them out to our groomer. However, with every haircut, he returns bloody, where some are cut over them. Okay, well, there's a couple things I want to say about warts, and I know, and boy, cockapoos and cocker spaniels are known for it. Shih Tzus, as they age, tend to get warty. Even sometimes poodles are typical for that. But here's what happens with warts. So you have to choose a blade that's going to be just slightly longer than how high the wart is from the skin, because then you're totally avoiding messing with the wart. The wart skin is very, very tender. So even the slightest little bump, and it isn't that you cut it, It's that you bumped it and it'll bleed. They're that tender. The skin is so thin on a wart. So you may be worried, did my groomer nick the wart? It may not be that, Marie. It may be that it got bumped in clipping and it started to bleed. They're very sensitive. Another thing that happens with warts is they always get this little layer of crust on them because they ooze. So when you bathe the dog and dry it, now that oozing starts again. So it may not even be that they nicked it or bumped it or anything. It may be the wart is now clean and the crust is off, so it's oozing again. So, you know, that's something people overlook a lot. But yes, I agree with you about mentioning where those warts are, pointing it out. What you can say to them, Marie, is this is a cockapoo. If you said to them, can you please trim her with a 1/4 of an inch guard comb? And as long as your dog is groomed regularly and not in matted condition, they'll be able to use a guard comb. If not, they have to go to a blade. So as long as you're doing your due diligence at home and scheduling the dog every 6 weeks for a groom, it shouldn't be terrible problems there with leaving a 1/4 of an inch. But then that'll bypass the warts and you don't have to worry about them. Plus it kind of protects the warts because they are very delicate. Even if your dog bumps them, they can bleed. They're just that the skin is too thin. It's so thin on those warty areas. Here is Nana's Needles says, owner of a beaver terrier. Beaver terrier. It looks like a Yorkie, guys. I know exactly what it is. A black, white, and tan. Okay, suggestions for summer cut fur here in Florida. It's hot. Okay, for a summer cut on the, they say it beaver terrier, beaver. I don't know. I know what you mean. Anyway, summer cut on a beaver terrier, I would say you could do a 5. Definitely be pretty safe with a 5 blade. And it's short enough. It's short enough to keep your baby cool, but it's not as short as a 7 blade. I don't like to take them down that short with a 7 because they typically don't have real thick coat. They typically don't have a real thick coat, the beaver terriers. Little thicker than a Yorkie, but not always. Sometimes it's pretty fine. So I don't like to take them as short as a 7. A 5 blade should be okay. Definitely should be okay, and it would cool them down. So that would be a safe, I'd say that's safe to take to your groomer. And if you download the guide today, then you can check what you want and give it to your groomer, and then you know. Charlotte says, aside from the grooming tips, I'm a pet groomer for dogs, cats, and bunnies. That's awesome. Living and working in the United Arab. Oh, wow. This is amazing. Charlotte, thank you for joining us. Looking forward to travel to Europe. Should I be certified before I get a job? I'm not sure what's typical there in the United Arab countries. Here in the United States, certifications aren't demanded. We don't have to do it, believe it or not, but you really should. So I tell anybody who's going to groom dogs that they should go through some type of a reputable grooming school to learn all the safe methods of grooming and tools to use, what's safe to use, what's not safe to use. Otherwise, we just have a lot of people shaving down dogs with 10 blades like we do right now in the United States. We have a ton of that. That's all they do because they don't really have any clue how to groom dogs. They just started grooming dogs. And they think it's okay, but it's not okay. But they didn't learn that because they didn't go to school. So I think you definitely need to, if you're going to be a pet groomer, you need to have proper training from a reputable school. So I would say, Charlotte, yes, that's something that you need for yourself too. You need to know that you're going into this the safest way possible for the pets that you're going to groom. And you also want to be able to assure your pet clients that you're trained. It makes them feel safe too. So I definitely would say yes, and everybody should be certified, whether or not your state or your country requires it. I think everybody should be a certified pet groomer before they groom dogs professionally, meaning they take clients, okay? So Nala says, when a dog's nail is long and the quick, and that nail is long, how much do you ideally cut off? I have plenty of great nail trim videos on my channel that show you exactly how far to go, to where to stop so you don't hit the quick, and then it shows you what it looks like when you've gone to the right spot. So I have 2 or 3 really good nail trimming videos on my channel, so you should definitely watch that, Nala. Just type it in. If you type it on YouTube, I'll probably come up, because they do have a lot of views on them. And it shows you up close and personal what it will look like if you've trimmed them just right. Because you will still see a little black dot in there if it's just right. You can't go any further. That is the quick. So go check them out. Falcor says, do you use 30 blades on poodles' feet? No, I do not, because I do not groom show dogs, and I will explain what that means. I feel like no one uses anything shorter than a 10. I do use 15. I will use a 15. And as a pet groomer, I can use a 30 blade on a pet poodle feet, shaving poodle feet. However, I have to condition that dog up to being tolerable, their skin being tolerable to being trimmed with a 30 blade, so that it doesn't get irritated and burn, itchiness, because it's too short of a trim. They're not used to it. Their skin's not conditioned to it. So if I was going to do, if somebody wanted me to do a 30 blade on their poodle feet and it's a pet trim, I start with a 10 blade in reverse, so it is definitely a 15 blade length. I will clean the inside, the bottom of the paw pads with a 30. I do that for every dog that I trim the paw pads from. But here on top of the skin of the feet, I would start with a 10 blade in reverse. And if they said, I really would like it to be really short, like a 30 blade, and then I would say, well then, if you can bring him in here every 2 weeks, and I'll do face, feet, and tail. And that's how you condition the skin on the face to be able to be shaved with, say, a 15 blade instead of a 10 blade. You have to condition the skin. So if you brought me your pet poodle every 2 weeks and we conditioned the skin, and I was feeling comfortable and seeing that the skin was definitely okay, I'll then go to a 15. And we'll try that and see how it works. If any irritation, any redness, if it's going to be irritated, it will get irritated and red right away. So even if you told me there was no irritation, because you know you're taking the dog home with you, I would still see redness right away after I trimmed it if it was going to be irritating the dog. So if that's the case, then I would quickly put some what's it called, Groomer's Choice. I can get it. Oh my gosh, my brain is just out there today. Skinworks. It's called Skinworks, and it's almost like a Neosporin for dogs, but it's not Neosporin. But it calms the skin down immediately in the sanitary areas and stuff if there was irritation from clipping. It's a very good product to keep on hand. It's called Skinworks, and you can get it at Groomer's Choice. And I have a link for Groomer's Choice in the description below, guys. You can save 10% off of anything that you order from Groomer's Choice all the time. Now they changed that. So any order, anytime, if you use my code GOGROOMER, I think it is, it's linked below, then you can save 10% off of any order. And you get your blades, your clippers, shampoos, conditioners, dryers, everything from Groomer's Choice. It's all there. So yeah, that's how I would do a 30 blade. Now, show dogs, I know they're getting their feet shaved about every week. So their skin is becoming tolerable to a short clip. And that's why I say the difference between show dog and a pet trim. A pet's only used to having their feet shaved about every 6 weeks. So they haven't toughened up the skin to be able to take such a close shave. Versus show dogs, they're conditioned to that as puppies every week. But that's because, you know, they're going in the showroom, the show ring, and you want to see nothing on that poodle feet. And it looks fantastic. But that's just the difference of the show world and the pet world. Diane says, so 5 blade is okay for a Yorkie? Yes. And a 5 blade is shorter than a comb. Did I hear it right? Yes, you did, Diane. You're absolutely right. A 5 blade is shorter than a 1/4 of an inch guard comb. There is a guard comb that says it's 1/8 of an inch, and a 5 blade is still even a little shorter than this. But this one, I don't like this little blade doesn't produce nice work. This is a guard comb, the 1/8 of an inch. Not until you get up to the 1/4 of an inch will you see pretty work with your guard combs. I don't like this for guard combs. I would just assume use a 4 blade. But that's just my opinion. So Bunny says, hi Amy, are there options? Is grooming possible for somebody with back and leg pain? Is grooming possible? Grooming is a dream of mine, but I worried I'd never be able to. Of course, Bonnie, but what I would say is a lot of groomers sit to groom, and they make grooming stools with rollers on it if you want, or just a grooming stool that you would adjust your grooming table. I would recommend, if you have back and leg pain, Bunny, that you only groom small dogs, and you can specialize in that, but you won't be able to groom big dogs. You won't be able to pick a big dog up and put him in the tub if you don't want to, or get him on the table if you don't want to. And it's okay to say, I only groom dogs under 15 pounds or 10 pounds even, whatever you want to do. You can build a business around that. It'll take longer to build clients because you've niched down, but you will build the clients. But I got to tell you, Bunny, grooming is hard work. And if you're going to be grooming for a living, you're going to be needing to make a certain amount of money per day, or you would have to just go get a different job. If you're grooming for a hobby, that's a different story. It means you don't need to make, it don't matter what you make. But if you're going to groom because you have to make a certain amount of money a day, I would say not to get into it, Bunny, and I would say start hobby grooming. Start grooming your own dogs, working with, say, a close friend or family member that has a very small dog that you would like to just take the time and learn to groom the dog safely in a quiet atmosphere with the proper setup. But if you want to groom for a living and you have back and leg problems, those are going to get extremely worse immediately, and then you're going to be in a bad position because now you're not making any money because you can't work. Grooming takes a toll on your body. Definitely. So I don't want there to be any confusion around that. And I groomed and humped it for years and years, and it's exhausting. Even in my 30s, it would exhaust me at the end of the day because of the amount of work I had to do to make enough money for my family to survive. And so it's I think groomers should be paid. Hey, groomers in the chat. Groomers should be paid a lot more, but the problem is those groomers in our area that underprice themselves to take any dog they can get, or to get the dogs in the door from me or somebody else. They underprice them. So underpricing is very bad for our industry. And in the long run, those groomers who are underpricing themselves ends up screwing themselves, because now they have a complete client base of people who don't value. They're there because they're cheap. They're there because they're cheap, and they don't value the skill, and that groomer's going to burn out because it's hard work. And some dogs can be very frustrating to work with throughout their entire groom. Some dogs are wonderful to work with throughout their entire groom. They're all different. So, you have this constant stress level thing to deal with, which is exhausting too. So, yeah, if you've got pains, aches and pains, they're going to become stronger aches and pains if you're grooming dogs. And I want to be quite honest with you guys about that. I'm glad you asked it, Bunny. I really am, because I don't think it's talked about enough. I think there's a lot of fluff surrounding grooming, but there's a lot of realistic. people sharing their grooming experiences out there too on social media. But it is just flat out work. It honestly is. It is. And yes, Court Jester, thank you. Our private Facebook group, guys, for anybody who's not in it, if you just need, some friends to help get you through, because you have a question you don't understand, I'm not always available for you guys. What's the difference between a 5 and a 7 blade? Boom, you put that question in our private Facebook chat. It's a private Facebook group. So there are professionals, there are home groomers, there are a lot of people in there that know the answers to these questions, and they're so helpful. You guys are so helpful for each other in that group, and I'm so thankful for you making the group what it is. You guys, it's a good place for people to come and get the answers that they need, or get support, or just say, guys, I groomed my Yorkie today. Give it to me. Here's a picture. What do you think? Did I do good? It's nice to get feedback from other people like you that are doing the same thing, other home groomers. But I have a lot of professional groomers in that private Facebook group that give great advice too. So, yes, I want you guys to take advantage of the private Facebook group. You'll find it on Facebook. Search Go Groomer Private Facebook Group, and you have to be given permission to get in. So, and you have to answer some questions, or you won't get in, because we've been getting a lot of people that are just trying to slip in that group, and they don't really want to be there. They just want to sell people stuff, and I don't want anybody doing that. I kick people out that do that. Yes, we do help each other, Ashley. Absolutely, I know, and it's wonderful. I'm so thankful for you guys. So, guys, don't forget to go and download. Boy, you have a lot of things actually to look at in the. Where am I? In the description of this video. There's a lot of links. There's links to the site from Yves Saint Bernard that has the shortcuts for what coat type your dog would have, short, medium, or long. You have my guides that are going to help you keep track of what you're doing each time you groom your dog. What blades did you use? So when it's 6 weeks from now, you can say, oh, I don't remember what I used, and I don't know what to do. Oh, I put it down, I wrote it down, I checked it off. I used a 5 blade, or I used a 1/4 inch guard comb on the body, whatever. You have it down there. And you can also use those to take to your groomer if you go to a groomer, and a lot of you do, and that's awesome. You can take them to your groomer and say, can we start with something like this, for a trim for my dog? And it's very helpful between you and your groomer to get your pet the trim that is most comfortable for them. That's the most important thing. So there's also links in there in the description of the video, videos of mine that are going to answer some of your questions, like what coat type is your dog. That video's in there. It's really good. There's just a lot of links. So take your time, scroll through the links, see if there's anything that's helpful to you. That's why I take the time to put the links in there, because it's easier for me to put them in the descriptions and tell you guys to go check it out versus answer 500 emails. And I can't do that. Sometimes I can't answer all the emails. I do the best I can. I really do. So, Janelle says, my Ringo listens to Amy still since he was born. So Ringo's right there. Ringo's her German Shepherd dog. Hello, Ringo. Gosh, I would love to meet him someday. He is a beautiful dog, too. But he knows the sound of my voice, and I think that's awesome. Hi, Ringo. He's a good boy. All right, guys, the next time we're getting together, I'm going to announce that. Our next Live from the Grooming Table is scheduled for Monday, August 28th, which is in 2 weeks, at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, our typical time to get together. And the topic is, you're going to like this, dog grooming myths that simply are not true. Oh, there's so many. Hey, all my dog grooming friends in the chat here, you know what I'm talking about. Knuckle bump. Dog grooming myths that simply are not true. I cannot wait to give that to you. My list started, as I started making notes for this topic, I was just like, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this one. Yeah, there are so many myths out there that aren't true about dog grooming, and you should do this, you shouldn't do this, you can't bathe a dog more than 3 times a year, you can use this on a dog. Okay, we're going to bust those myths. I'm going to tell you right now. All right, guys, I'm so glad that you came here tonight. You know, I just absolutely adore you, and I love what you're doing, and I love you, and I love your pets, and we're doing great things together, so keep it up. And we're very supportive here in this community. We're very supportive in our private Facebook group, the Go Groomer private Facebook group. You're just a wonderful group of people. And I'm so glad we found each other. Because our pets are benefiting. More than anything, our pets are benefiting. And then we can feel good about the decisions that we're making for them when it comes to taking care of their skin and coat care needs. So, you guys rock. Just saying. I will see you in 2 weeks. Here is a Farmer's Down showdown. If there's anybody who would like to try fresh food for their dog, I decided to become a partner with the Farmer's Dog so I can offer you a free 100% free trial of their food for 1 week. Link below. Here's a Farmer's Dog commercial just so you know what it's all about. But it's a tearjerker and a wonderful song too. Love you guys.